in .NET Framework. So components of .NET Framework. So this is what we are going to discuss today. With this, we'll finish the theoretical part. From tomorrow onwards, we'll start programming, like how to work with C Sharp.NET. So that is what how to work with Visual Studio, how to work with C Sharp.NET, and what is a console application. What are the different classes we are having and methods we are having. We'll discuss about those things from tomorrow onwards. So today we'll discuss about the components in .NET. So basically, what is the meaning of a .NET? Definition of a .NET. Anyone? So just please be interactive.
It's not a programming language. It's a
Right?
group of programming languages.
Yes, Naveen. Fine. So when it comes to the .NET, okay, as I already told you, the definition for the .NET. And remember one thing here: when it comes to the .NET, don't write like this. Okay, DOT. It's not a good programming. It's not a good way to write. Why? Because dot is nothing but it represents the local host. Local host is nothing but the current mission, whatever the mission we are using currently. So that is the local host. To represent that one, instead of using like our computer name, we are giving simply dot. Dot means local host. And net is nothing but network enabled technology or network environment technology. But that is not from the Microsoft. And many people they call it as net. Okay. So network or network enabled or network environment technology. Technology. Network enabled technology or network environment technology, anything it may be. When it comes to the dot is nothing but it's a local host. That means the vision of the .NET is from the local mission, that means from the current mission. Otherwise, from the current mission, we are establishing connection with different types of applications, different types of applications with the help of network. So this is exactly a .NET. A .NET framework is nothing but, this is the motto that what they have created, but we don't have any definition or any abbreviation for the .NET from the Microsoft, and most of the developers they call like this. Now, when it comes to the .NET definition, as I already told you, the meaning of the .NET. Okay, the meaning of the .NET is, so it is the combination of framework. It is the combination of framework and CLR, right? So CLR stands for Common Language Runtime. Common Language Runtime. As I already told you, when it comes to the .NET, okay, .NET is nothing but it's a framework, and it's the combination of CLR. Framework along with the CLR, we call it as a .NET. Now, what is meant by a framework? As I already told you, a framework is nothing but it's a collection of things. So here, when it comes to the .NET environment, what is meant by a framework is nothing but base class libraries or framework class libraries. Framework class libraries. Base class libraries are FCL. We may call it as like base class library or framework class library. Let me write that one as well. So base class libraries, or we need to have framework class libraries. Framework class libraries. And the second component that what we are having here, it is CLR, where CLR stands for Common Language Runtime, that you need to explain. And internally, CLR is having different components. The first one is nothing but CTS, where CTS stands for Common Type System. This is one component that what we are having. And the second one, we have CLS, and the name for that one is Common Language Runtime. Sorry, Common Language Specification. And third component that what we are having here, it is GC, where it stands for Garbage Collector. And the fourth component that what we are having here, it is JIT, stands for Just in Time. Just in Time. So we call it as compiler. That's it. So like that we are having, these are the components that what we are having. Now first what I'm going to do, let me explain you what is base class library and framework class library. So later we'll discuss about the CLR and all these components. So let me go with the base class libraries and framework class libraries. So how many of you are aware of like C++ programming languages, at least the basics? At least the basics, just can you speak up? How many of you are aware of it? Anyone? What is meant by class library is, class library is nothing but it's a collection of classes. Collection of classes. Whatever the classes we are using currently, whatever the classes, collection of, as I already told you, we are using like C#.NET. It's an object-oriented program, and most of the .NET programming languages are object-oriented programming languages. Now, out of all these programming languages, from the Microsoft, we are getting some predefined functionality in the form of classes. From the Microsoft, we are getting the predefined functionality in the form of classes, and all these classes together we call it as a class library. So, a class library is a collection of classes, and basically, let me show you a simple thing here. So basically, when it comes to a class library, let me explain you clearly. Suppose if this is a class library, this is a class library, and a class library, class library, class library, class library. A class library is nothing but it's a collection of classes, basically. Collection of classes. Collection of classes. The class library is a collection of classes that what we are creating or what we are getting from the Microsoft. So those are nothing but the class libraries that what we are having. Now, apart from the class library, even we can create our own class libraries as well. So that is the reason I'm going to divide that class libraries into two parts. The first one is nothing but here. Let me divide it into two parts. This is the first one, and this is the second one. So there are two types of class libraries are available. The first one is nothing but user-defined class library, user-defined, and the next one we are having system-defined. System-defined. Like that, we are having two types of class libraries are available. First one, user-defined and system-defined. Now, when it comes to a class library is nothing but it's a collection of classes. Okay, the meaning of the class library is collection of classes. Collection of classes, and there are two types of class libraries are available. User defined is one type, and then we are having system defined is one more type that what we are having. Now, what is the difference between user defined and system defined means? So all the user defined libraries are created by the user. All the user defined libraries are created by the user. That means the programmer or you or me. So even like we are going to build the applications by using C#.NET, and as you know already, C#.NET is an object-oriented programming language. We are going to deal with purely classes and object. That means if a class library is created by a programmer or a developer, then that is called a user-defined class library. Now let me write if a class library is developed. I'll do one thing. I'll just write it on the notepad itself. I think it's better. So a class library is collection of classes, and the next one is nothing but user-defined class library. User-defined class library. Class library. So if a class library is created by the developer or programmer or user for particular type of requirement, type of project, otherwise for particular type of project, then that is called a user defined class library. Now we have one more type that is called a system defined class library. Now we have one more type that is called system defined class library. So what is system defined class library? If a class library is created by Microsoft developers and not targeted to specific type of project, then that is called, okay, not targeted to specific type of project. That means if I'm building an application, suppose I just want to build a VLC media player. So for that one, I have created so many class libraries, and those class libraries I can use only for the VLC media player application. I can't use with the different types of applications. Such kind of class libraries are called user-defined class library. A class library is created by the developer or programmer or user for the particular type of requirement or for particular type of project, the current project. So those are called user-defined class libraries. And in similar way, from the system, that means from the Microsoft, we are getting many libraries. That means pre-existing functionality. We are getting so many class libraries, and we are getting so many classes, and we are getting so many namespaces, and internally it contains so much of logic. By using that logic, we are going to use the that means we're going to write the code like input, output, or if you wanted to print something, or if you wanted to display something, if you want to save something. So like that, we are having many things are available if you wanted to convert one type to another type. So there are many things are existing things are available within the base class library or system defined class library. If a class library is created by the Microsoft developers and is not targeted to the specific project, that means, so this is called a system defined class library. And all the system defined class libraries, all the system defined class libraries are called base class libraries or framework class libraries. Whatever the class libraries are derived from the Microsoft, those are called base class libraries or framework class libraries. And by using those libraries, we are going to communicate with the different kinds of application. Either you can build a console application, or you can build a Windows application, or you can build a RESTful services, or you can build like a Windows Forms application, or you can build a web application, ASP.NET. Anywhere you go, any type of application you can take by using those class libraries, we are able to build that applications. And all these base class libraries, it's very important interview question. All the base class libraries are available in a common form, that is, common file extension, that is .dll, where .dll stands for dynamic link library, dynamic link library. So dynamic link library. So we'll discuss about the DLL later on sessions. And remember one thing here, the next point here, all the system defined, okay, all the base class libraries, otherwise all the base class libraries or framework class libraries are available in the mission, are available in the mission, and the path is C:/, we have a folder with the name Windows / we have a folder with the name assembly. Okay, this is a path, and we call this path as GAC folder, and we call that particular folder as GAC folder. It's a technical definition for that folder, GAC folder, where GAC stands for Global Assembly Cache. So it's a place where all the system defined class libraries or base class libraries or framework class libraries are available. That means when it comes to the .NET, we need to know about the framework. A framework is nothing but it's a collection of libraries. So there is a class library, collection of libraries. So what is collection of libraries means? Collection of class libraries. Now what is class library? Collection of classes. And these classes are getting categorized into two parts, user defined and system defined. User defined means user create. That means you or me or some other person, they'll create their own classes. Why? Because it's an object oriented programming language. So that is the reason he is able to create his own classes, and he is going to write the code, and he can use that particular one only for that particular requirement. That means suppose if I'm building a project, so for that one I'm developing my own. So that is nothing but the user defined class libraries. And in similar way, from the Microsoft, we are getting so many existing libraries are available. They have created many libraries, and even like in 4.0 version, maybe I guess they have created around like 5 lakh predefined functions are available. And in similar way, we have around like 2 to 3,000 classes are available, and 700 to 800 class libraries are available. Like that, we are getting so many pre-existing functionality from the Microsoft in the form of a class library. And all these class libraries are, we call it as system defined class libraries. All these class libraries, we call it as system defined class library. And in similar way, all these libraries are available in a common place, that is called a folder, that is called GAC folder, Global Assembly Cache. And those are available in the form of .dll. And let me show you that one. Just go to the C drive. Even in your machine also, by default, whenever if you install Windows operating system, then automatically will get the .NET framework. No need to install explicitly. So directly you can get. And there we are having a folder with the name Windows, and there we have a folder with the name assembly. If you go there we are having like many libraries are available. Many of the class libraries are available. Just if you open that, then automatically we'll get all the class libraries. See there. Now see, all the class libraries are available. And as I already told you, so MSIL, where MSIL stands for Microsoft Intermediate Language. That means this is not mission independent. That means the same class libraries you can use with different operating system. That is the great advantage with the MSIL. And if you select anything and if you try to open, then we can't able to open, we'll get an error. So basically, so we are trying to open a system file like that, we are getting an error. And if you right click on there and just go to the properties, those are available in the form of, just let me show you, product version, product name, and original. See there. So custom marshals.dll, that what we are having. And any type of file you may take, like let me take some other file and right click and go to the properties. There we are having, just go to the version, and there we are having original file name. So which is having like .dll formats and anything, right click on there and go to the properties. Yeah, this is an MSL, so which is always available in the form of .dll. Now see .dll. All the base class libraries from the Microsoft what they have created. So these are the class libraries that what we are having. These are the class libraries, these many class libraries, and internally it contains different classes. And internally the classes contain different functions. That means this much of predefined functionality we are able to get from the Microsoft. So this is called a base class library or framework class library. The class library which are created by the Microsoft people and for the reusability purpose basically. So those are called base class libraries or framework class libraries. Fine. Understand about this concept, or do you need, that means if you are having any doubts, let me know.
No, it's clear till now.
Okay, fine. So let me go with the second component in the .NET, that is called CLR, right? So just a second. Let me go for the next component, that is CLR, where CLR stands for Common Language Runtime, that what you guys already know about it. So the purpose of the CLR is, which is used to convert MSIL to native code. That what you guys know, right? So, but going back to the code execution process, that what we have discussed yesterday, I think in the E drive, maybe I guess I have created a folder. Fine. So in the last session, we discussed about the code execution process, right? So this is the code execution process that what we have discussed. And here, when it comes to the .NET, we have written the code in different programming languages. So there are different programming languages are there, and there you can write the code. And we have a compiler. Each and every programming language has its own compilers. And it like by default, whenever the language compilation is done, then automatically it gets converted into MSIL format. And MSIL is a platform independent code. And by using CLR and like in previous days, we have Mono framework. The combination of both two, we are able to get the native code. So that is what we have seen in the last session. Now, here, if you go with C#.NET, C#.NET is having different data types or not? Like we have different data types from the C#.NET, that is integer, float, double, character. And in similar way, if you go with VB.NET, VB.NET is also having different types of data types are available. And in similar way, JSharp is also having different types of data types are available. But all these data types are getting converted into MSIL format. That means even if you write the code in any programming language, ultimately all the .NET applications, the first code is getting converted into MSIL whenever the language compilation is done. So how an MSIL is capable of holding all these data types? And in similar way, let me go for the language specification, that is the syntaxes. So C#.NET will follow the different syntax, and VB.NET will follow the different syntax, and JSharp.NET will follow the different syntax. But once the language compilation is done, all the programming language specification is getting converted into a common form, that is called MSIL. So that is Microsoft Intermediate Language. As I already told you, this is also one type of programming code only, but we are not writing. So the CLR will take in care to execute like that. Understand, the .NET framework will take the responsibility to get the MSIL code. We need not write explicitly anything with respect to the MSIL. But how a CLR will execute? Why? Because now here I have a language compiler, that is C# language compiler. What a C# language compiler will contain? The C# language compiler will contain whatever the data types we are having for the C#.NET, and as well as whatever the language specification, that means whatever the syntactical rules. That means if I'm declaring an integer variable, if I'm not assigning, if I'm declaring global, if I'm not assigning, then we'll get an error basically. So that is a syntactical error. And if I'm not ending any statement with the statement terminator, that is the semicolon, that is a syntactical error. All the syntactical errors, that means the language specification as well as the data types, the set of data types which are there in the C#.NET are available with the C#.NET compiler. That is the reason the C#.NET compiler cannot understand the VB.NET. C#.NET compiler cannot understand J#.NET. So that is the reason where for every programming language you may take, we should have one compiler. So it's mandatory to have a compiler. Why? Because one compiler cannot understand the another compiler. But here, whenever the language compiler compilation is done, we are getting an MSIL code. And this MSIL language specification and the data types are common for all the 63 programming languages. And here we are using a CLR as the component, common language runtime for the multiple programming languages. Why? Because the CLR doesn't know the data types of C#.NET, and it doesn't know the language specification of VB.NET, and it doesn't know the language specification and data types of J#.NET. CLR will have a common set of data types and a common language specification, that is common syntactical rules for its MSIL. And this MSIL data types and language specification are common to all the 63 programming languages. That is nothing but the common language runtime or common language environment for multiple programming languages. Understand? So that is a common language runtime. So basically, which is used to convert MSIL to native code, but internally it performs many things, or like many things are available when it comes to the CLR. The first one is nothing but CLS, stands for Common Language Specification. CLS stands for Common Language Specification. So what it will do? So Common Language Specification is nothing but every programming language you may take. So let me delete this one second. So this is the second one. What a common language specification, that means what it is means. So every programming language you may take, so every programming language, so basically specifications are nothing but syntactical. Okay, when it comes to language specification is nothing but it's a syntactical rules. It's a syntactical rules that are used to write programming code that are used to write the programming code. So every programming language has its own language. Every programming language has its own language specification. Suppose, let me show you a simple example. I have worked in VB.NET and C#.NET both as well. Out of my career. And if you go with like VB.NET, if you wanted to declare any variable, that means if you wanted to store something into the variable, we'll declare a variable something like dim a as integer. Okay, dim a as integer, and statement terminator is completely optional. That is the statement terminator means the semicolon. Technically, we call it as a statement terminator. So that is completely optional. The same thing if you wanted to declare in C#.NET. So if you want to declare in C#.NET, we'll declare simply like this, int a, and statement terminator is mandatory. And if you go with like J#.NET, if you go with the J#.NET, so that is again different scenario. Why? Because J#.NET is not completely type-safe programming language. It's not completely type-safe. It's a type-safe programming language, but not completely. There you can write simply var a, and statement terminator is not mandatory. That means for every programming language you may take, we have different type of syntaxes that what we need to follow while writing the code. Understand? We need to follow different syntaxes that what we need to follow. So these syntactical rules are available with the language compiler. That is the reason only the language compiler will convert or compile the code and then convert it into another format. But CLR will convert all the 63 programming languages into native code. Why it is converted means CLR doesn't have any language specification with respect to all the 63 programming languages. Instead of CLR will having the language specification for its MSIL, and the language specification of MSIL is common for all the 63 programming languages. That is called CLS. So CLS is a component. CLS is a component in CLR. CLS is a component in CLR which will takes the responsibility of execution of .NET applications with respect to language specification. So what it means? So CLR is having a common syntax for all the 60 plus programming languages that are available in .NET. So CLR is having a common syntax for all the 60 plus programming languages that are available in the .NET. Not exactly CLR, you can write it down. Already you know about the CLS, so you can write it down CLS. CLS is having a common syntax for all the 60 plus programming that are available in the .NET in the form of MSIL. And the MSIL syntaxes are common for all the programming languages. So that is called CLS. That means the language specification of MSIL is common to all the 63 programming languages that are available in the .NET, and those syntactical rules are available with the CLS. And CLS is a component of CLR. That is the reason where it is getting converted MSIL code into native code. So that is called CLS. And in similar way, we are having CTS. And the purpose of the CLS, that means the great advantage that what we are having with the CLS is, so CLS is used to achieve language interoperability. And we don't have this facility, with Java. So what is language interoperability? Let me explain you. Language interoperability. So language interoperability is nothing but, so suppose today I'm going to build an application. I'm going to build an application by using VB.NET, and later after 5 years or 6 years I come to know VB.NET is no more in the market. That means developers are not available in the market. So that is the reason let me convert the complete code into C#.NET. Then what are the different ways we are having? Suppose I just wanted to build an application VB.NET, and for that one I'm recruiting 10 developers, okay, and I'm investing like around 10 crores of rupees, okay, 10 crores of rupees to build that application, and it took around for me 2 years to finish that application. Okay, fine, now it's working fine. So this is the initial draft. So later, after like 5 years, okay, so what I want to do, that means same application, I feel that like VB.NET developers are not available in the market. So that is the reason, suppose if one VB.NET developer is there and he is asking for more money for the maintenance project. So, but this is not a good case. That means this is not at all good case. That is an outdated programming language that what we are having when it comes to the VB.NET. Now I come to know nowadays people are using C#.NET. If that is the case, what I need to do, again I need to build the C#.NET, the complete application. There are two ways. The first way is nothing but I can start from the scratch by writing the code in C#.NET. We need to recruit 10 developers, okay, and like we need to invest at least 5 crores according to the current industry, and it took like for me around like 1.6 years, suppose. This is one case. And the second case is directly I'm able to convert the VB.NET code into C#.NET code. So which one we feel better? Always it's better to go with the second one. Why? Because I need not invest this much amount of rupees and these many years of time, and no need to have these many developers as well. Even we can recruit if some persons, then it's fine, but no need to have those many developers. That means how many developers are required to build an application completely from the scratch? Those many are not required if you are converting the code from VB.NET to C#.NET. So this is the great advantage that what we are having in the .NET. That feature is nothing but the language interoperability. The code that we have written in one programming language, can be consumed by another programming language, another programming language can be consumed by another programming language. This feature, this is called language interoperability, and this can be achieved by using CLS. Sir, why CLS is achieved? As I already told you, whenever if you write the code in any programming language, we are getting a common form that is called MSIL. And the same MSIL can be used in VB.NET, and the same MSIL can be write, suppose today I'm going to build an application by using VB.NET. As I already told you, I'm going to build an application by using VB.NET, and I'm using the language compiler. The language compiler will generate the MSIL. Okay, MSIL is generated. So that is a MSIL is generated. Fine. Now later on, I just wanted to build an application by using C#.NET. Okay, so the same C#.NET. So MSIL is available in the form of .dll. Just now I have shown you the file extension for that one. Suppose I just wanted to consume the same DLL in C#.NET, we didn't get any errors as well. Simply we'll add the reference. I'll show you like how to add the reference and how to write the code by using VB.NET and how to consume in C#.NET as well. Don't worry about it. So the DLL, whatever it creates by the VB.NET, the same DLL I am able to consume in C#.NET. That feature or facility is nothing but the language interoperability, and we don't have that facility or feature for the Java. We have only for the .NET. So that is the great advantage that what we are having, language interoperability. The code that what we have written in one programming language can be consumed by using another programming language, that is called the language interoperability. So this is about the CLS. And the next component that what we are having here, it is the CTS, where CTS stands for Common Type System. So what is meant by CTS means every programming language, the same way that what we are having for this language specification, there we are having the syntaxes, and here we have the data types. That's it. Every programming language has its own data types to store the values. And one programming language data type cannot be same to the another programming language. That means if you take C, we have an integer, but it will store only 2 bytes of memory. But if you take C#.NET, it will store around like the 4 bytes of memory. It will be stored. So like that, one programming language to another programming language, we have different kinds of, different type memory locations are available, and different type of storage spaces are available. So that is the reason. And once the language compilation is done in the .NET programming language, we are getting an MSIL. And MSIL data types are common for all the programming languages. And CLR is having, CTS, directly I can write, CTS is having those data types. That is the reason it is converted all the 63 programming languages, or executed all the 63 programming languages. Every programming language has its own data type to store the values, and MSIL data types are common for all the programming languages, and CTS is having all those data types. That is the reason it is converted into 63 programming languages. And it's very, very important interview question, like in .NET, how many data types we are having? Why? Because .NET is not, as I already told you, it's not a programming language. If it is a programming language, you can directly tell like integer, float, double character, you can read out each and everything. But it's not a programming language. Whenever you get a question like whatever the programming, data types we are having in the .NET means we have only 2 types of data types. Those are nothing but the value type and a reference type. So according to CTS, according to the CTS, we have only two data types. That means all the data types from all the programming languages, once the language compiler is done, then automatically it's converted into two format. The first one is nothing but the value type. So the first one is nothing but value types, and the second one is nothing but reference type. It's very, very important interview question. So what are the different data types we are having with respect to the .NET framework, or what are the different data types we are having when it comes to the CTS? If they may ask the question like what are the data types we are having in C#, then you can tell like integer, float, double, character. But they are not specifically asked for the programming language. They are targeting about the framework. According to the framework, like what are the data types we are having means we have only two types. Those are nothing but the value type and the second one reference type. So let me give you the differences between value type and reference type. The first one is nothing but value types directly store in memory location. This is the first point. And the second point, it will allocated into memory, that is stack memory. Basically stack memory, like it is going to be allocated into stack memory. And the third one, just give me a minute. And the third one, value types directly stores the value. And value types, let me write in .NET. That means when it comes to C#.NET, what are the value types are available? Let me show you. C#.NET. Otherwise, let me give you all the value types are structures basically. So what is meant by structure, we'll come across. And the next one, so all the value types are structures, and will store the data, and it will store the numerical data. So most of the scenario, all the value types will store numerical data. And yeah, these points are enough. Now when it comes to the reference type, when it comes memory, that is like it will allocate it in the memory, that is stack. It's a continuous memory location. Let me explain clearly. I'll explain, don't worry about it. Continuous memory. Now when it comes to reference type will never store directly the value. It never store directly value, rather it directly store the value, rather it refers where the value will be. And next one, next point, it store in heap memory. That means the reference type values are storing in heap memory. And the next one, examples are like classes, objects, so such kind of things. So many things are available. And heap memory is nothing but it's a random memory location. So this is what we are having. Now let me show you like what it is exactly. So now what I'm going to do, just to go to there and let me remove all these things here. So the difference between the value type and reference type is, suppose here I have like this. So this is a stack memory. Basically stack memory will store the data one after another. Suppose if this is a first value, and in similar way it creates a second value, and it gets third value and fourth value. So this is a stack memory location, that what we are having. So like that, it is having different memory locations are available. Now what I'm going to do, so this is nothing but a stack memory location. In stack memory location, what happen means, whenever if you store any value, okay, whenever we store any value, let me use 10 as the size. Whenever we store any value, suppose if I'm declaring a variable with respect to integer, int a is equal to 10, if I'm giving int a is equal to 10, directly it stores the value into that memory location. That means here this is a memory location, and into that memory location the value will be stored here. And suppose if I'm declaring some float value, so you can store directly over here. Float f is equal to 3.14. If I'm giving 14 f, if I'm giving, then directly it will store the value into their memory location. Why? Because this is stack memory location and the values will be stored directly into their memory location. But if it is a reference type, so reference type is nothing but the random memory location, and each and every thing is randomly. Suppose if this is one object, this is another object, and this is third object, and this is fourth object, and this is fifth object, and this is sixth object. Like that, each and everything will be available in the form of an object, and this memory is nothing but a heap memory location. Okay, this memory is nothing but a heap memory location, that what we are having. So this is nothing but a heap memory location. Heap memory location. What is the difference between value type and reference type is value types will store in the stack memory location and the reference type will store in the heap memory location. So value type will store directly into their memory location, but the reference type is nothing but either it may be a string. A string is also belongs to reference type. So why we call string as reference type means, so now let me show you. Suppose if I'm creating a variable with string a, so directly it is not storing the data. Instead of storing that, it stores the address where the value is available. That means for each and every memory location we need to have an address. Suppose for this one we are having 1001, and in similar way for this one I'm having 1005, and for this one, why? Because it's a random memory location, 1 2 3 4 is the memory location, and in similar way here we have 5 6 7 8 is the memory location, and here we have like 4 5 7 8 is the memory location, and here we have like 8 9 6 5 is the memory location. That means for each and every memory we are having some address. So what a reference type will do means, instead of directly storing the value, it refer where the exact value is available. So it refers the address. That means it contains the address, not exact the value, but the value is available in the heap memory location. Suppose for this string, I'm storing the value that is Srikanth. Now the Srikanth value is available. That means Sri value is available in the heap memory location, and we are pointing from the stack. So that is the reference type. Reference type will never store the value directly into the memory location. Rather, it stores the address and refer where the value is available. And the values are always available in the heap memory location. Understand? So that is the difference between value types and reference type. And there are only two types of data types that what we are having when it comes to the CTS. And these two types of data types are common for all the 63 programming languages. And these two data types specification is available. That means the memory allocation and each and everything is available within the CLR. We have a component that is called CTS. That is the reason the CLR takes the responsibility to execute all the 63 programming languages from source code to the destination code, that is the native code. So this process or this component is nothing but CTS. CTS stands for Common Type System. So do you have any doubts here till this, guys? Any doubts here?
No.
Is it clear? CLS and CLR, I mean CTS.
Yes. Can you go back to the MS Paint diagram that you just showed?
Yeah, sure. Fine.
No, not the stack versus heap one.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, this one.
Yeah. So here the question that I have is, so for example, when string A stores the value Srikanth at a given point of time, and when that gets erased, like the value in the location 1001 gets erased, which as I understand that is a dynamic behavior,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So once that get erased, so what value would string A hold at that given point of time?
So that means like, for that one, good answer. I mean, good question. So basically, if I'm creating a variable, if I'm not using that variable for a couple of times, that means if I'm not using that one, then automatically that object is, being converted into ideal object mode. There are two types of objects. One is object that are in use and object that are not in use. So within a particular time period, then automatically that object is converted into that particular state. Whenever, if you are having such kind of object, we have a component inside the CLR that is a garbage collector. The garbage collector will remove that one automatically.
Okay, so the garbage collector will make the value of A to blank once 1001 becomes blank.
Is blank, yes, that's
okay.
Next, anyone? Guys, is it okay? Understand like what are the components we are having inside the CLR and what is a class library and what are the different types of libraries we have, and what is like a common language runtime and what is CLS and what is CTS. Do we have any questions? Let me know. Anyone? Is it clear? Okay, fine then. Tomorrow session we'll see about like, I'll stop for the day and we'll continue tomorrow. Thank you and have a nice day.